Welcome to the Chris and Sam podcast. Pull up a bar stool and join us for a random conversation, guaranteed to make you think or your money back.
Hey guys, welcome to episode number 49 of the Chris and Sam podcast.
The penultimate half-century episode.
Yes. Chris is getting quite excited about that.
Oh, half-century, that's pretty good.
I just want to have a big shout out to everyone that is listening, wherever you are in the world. I know some people from America, Chile,
India,
Croatia, all over the place are listening to this.
And
it's quite interesting.
Was it only 40% in New Zealand, or was it 50% in New Zealand?
Just 50%, I think.
Yep.
Kiwis, so a cultural
and
melting
kia ora
pot.
to you, my brethren.
Tēnā koutou katoa. Look that up.
Yeah.
So here we are.
Or if you're overseas, speak it into Google or into the Apple version, Siri, that's the one, and see what they make of it. Tēnā koutou katoa.
Yeah. Should come back with
That'd
something
be
for you.
hilarious what they come back with, actually. That might be quite amusing. But anyway, all good.
So here we go. How's the week been going for you?
Well, last weekend was a big one for me. Big weekend. So we already talked last week on the podcast about going up for Smackle and going to Kevin Smith. And so that was the Wednesday and Thursday, which were both late nights. And then I ended up Saturday, Sunday being really late too. Like they were big nights for me because I was working with Paige, our friend Paige, on Mime. So it's a film she wrote and she was directing. I sort of hadn't been involved too much with it beforehand, so I just thought, I'll just go along and help out where I can. It was sort of understood I'd be the shuttle driver type thing, getting people back to base and back to the set. We had a multi-million-dollar home and a show home.
It was a show home. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was very cool. We never got you never got to see it, eh?
No.
But it was really flash. But we had to not have any food there, no shoes inside. Which is all good because it didn't cost us anything. So that was really cool. We had some great cast. We had a couple of professional actors, one down from Auckland, one came up from Wellington. And they were really cool, so it was good to learn from them as well. We had some not so fantastic people on set too.
I don't know if we have to get into those details, do we?
No, we don't.
Let's just leave it at that.
But it was a learning opportunity. You put it that way. You need to know who your team members are before you start. Sorry, that's me shaking my foot under the table.
Yeah.
So that was cool. But yeah, overall, a lot of hard work. I ended up I was second AD, second assistant director, and which I thought meant I'd do bugger all. But in the end, I ended up directing the second camera unit, which was pretty cool. I've not really been a director before.
You haven't changed your job title to that?
On Clout.
No, LinkedIn. Everyone else has changed their job title to what they were doing on Mime.
I added a new job title. Instead of changing it all the time, I've just got filmmaker, and then I've got under filmmaker, I've got a project called Mime, and it does say I was a second assistant director.
Awesome.
But I don't want it to change my headline thing. There's reasons for that in LinkedIn, and I would explain that, but I don't. If you really want to know more, go and get Googling.
Bollocks. If you want to know more, hit Chris up, and eventually there will be something on his website all about it. Very soon.
By the time this podcast is launched, it might even be live.
This is going...
chrishanlon.nz.
Okay.
All one word, Chris Hanlon.
Which is HANLON.
Yes, .nz. That's my website. If you go there and there's just a big picture of my smiling face, that's the under construction thing, and it isn't live yet. Don't let that put you off.
Yeah, don't worry about that.
But yeah, hopefully by the time this is broadcast or published, it will be live. Anyway, so that was mine. I think we got some fantastic footage. I was absolutely buggered by the end of the weekend.
Because a lot of your shots you couldn't do until 4 o'clock in the afternoon, is that right? And then you went right into...
No, it wasn't the shots. It was we weren't allowed to use the show home until after 4 because it was a show home.
Yeah.
So not only that, but when we packed up, and we had truckload of gear, when we packed up, tied it up, we had to get it back to showroom standards and put all the brochures in the right places and the sign-in forms in the right places and everything else. Put the signs back up because there's, this show home under surveillance signs and all that, which we had to take down to film. So it was a mission.
It sounds like a mission. I was working, so
yeah. So it was good. It was great fun, and we really did bond really well as a crew and cast. Big shout out to Arno, who was one of the actors on in this thing, but he also put his home up for base, and they did all the catering there, and he was awesome. So that was really, really cool. So it was a very, very good experience. Now, speaking of Arno,
you've got some sort of story going on.
Yeah, so I published a post on my personal Facebook page with a photo from the set. The actors were just standing around, the director is looking at some lines or something. I don't know. Just a photo of
generic film set photo.
And my mum jumps on and comments.
Is she a heavy Facebook user?
She is a bit. She's on there a bit, and she's not too bad. Dad's ridiculous. Dad doesn't understand
Will there be
thing.
But your dad follows the Chris and Sam podcast, doesn't he? I think. I'm sure he's commented on something. Does your mum?
To think. Mum. I don't think either of them listen to the podcast.
No, but I think they follow the page, don't they?
Yeah, they might do.
Because we've got a special photo. Remember, if you leave a comment. Episode 50.
Oh, no.
Special photo.
She'd probably have the copy of that photo anyway.
She will.
Maybe she wouldn't. It's Chris Eyes is a bit creepy. But anyway.
Don't give it away.
You're losing my track of thought. Anyway, so she posts on there. She goes, "Is that Arno?" And I'm like, how do you do that, Mum? She knows everybody. My mum I grew up and she knew everybody. It used to bug the hell out of me.
Oh, right.
And I'll tell you a story about that in a second. But I basically said, that's Arno. And she goes, we met Mavis, and Mavis is a friend I've never met of hers. She does that mum thing where she talks about her friends as if you know them when you've never ever met them.
Yeah.
Or auntie whatever, or do you remember such and such? Like I was 4.
I think it's a parent thing.
Yeah, I know. It's right. So anyway, she goes, Mavis and I met Paul, which is Arno's partner. Paul and Arno on a cruise, and we had a great time and we hung out, and Arno remembers her, and so that was pretty cool. So I actually told Arno this story, and Arno and Paul, I was telling them the story, so I thought I'll share it with you guys.
Excellent.
So I'm about, I think I was about 20 years old, 19 or 20, and I lived in a flat, and the flat had, 5 or 6 people. It was a real, young person's flat, and we had one guy that used to turn up. He would wake up in the morning some days and he would just be in the armchair, and his name was John, and he was ex-mongrel mob. He'd got out of the mongrel mob and he tattooed over his mongrel mob tats. And
what did he tattoo it over with?
More tattoos, ink, I don't know. I can't remember.
Okay.
But so every now and again he'd be recognised as a mongrel mob guy and he'd get smashed. But he was a white guy. He was pretty cool, and fairly harmless. And back in these days, this is when I was training hard out.
Yeah.
And so I felt like I was tough at 20. I'd shudder to think, because now I don't think I was, but at the time I thought I was.
You were the man.
Yeah, I thought so. Anyway, so this particular Friday night, I think it was, got dropped off into town. Got dropped off into town on the motorbike. So all our flat had motorbikes. Nobody had a car.
And if you want to hear an amazing story about a motorbike, make sure to look in the archives for the bee sting story. That's like one of the best stories in the world.
Okay, so there's that one. So we, I got dropped off. So I've got my red helmet with me, my red FFM helmet.
Yes.
And go to the nightclub, put the helmet in, coat check. Got pretty pissed, dancing, Chris-eyed, a lot of women, all that sort of stuff.
I'm just trying to imagine what Chris dancing's like when you're 20 as well.
It's pretty bad. Left, totally chopped, on my own, as per normal. Jumped on a bus, because buses run 24 hours in New Zealand, in Wellington, I mean.
Yeah.
Jumped on a bus going home, because all the pubs were closed. And this is back in the day, so everything closed at 2 o'clock, I think. Maybe 3, whatever. And so on the bus, John gets on. This beardy John.
But you didn't know at the time he was in town?
I knew him.
Yeah, I know that.
But he gets on the bus and he goes, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm going home. He goes, I still fancy a drink. And I'm like, yeah, so do I. And he goes, the bus goes through Berrenport. Let's go stop at the Satan Slaves club rooms.
Okay.
I know the guy's there. And I'm like, okay.
I'm guessing you hadn't been to this place before?
No, not one of my better judgment calls, to be fair, right now.
Yeah.
Okay, so we get off the bus at Berhampore, and on the way home to Island Bay, and I'm like, where is this place? And he goes, it's between these houses. It's just a normal street, but between these two houses, there's this big iron gate.
Yes.
With a automated arm and stuff.
Yeah.
Like you can't climb over it. There's a big iron gate. And so he goes there and presses a button, and down the end, and this ramp slopes down. And at the end of the ramp, this, the eye slit opens up like in all the movies, and there's this guy's checkers out, and then it closes, and then and the gate starts moving open. And I'm like, okay. So John starts walking, so I start following him down. And as soon as we get past the gate, it starts closing behind us, and then there's this clang. And I realize,
You'll know.
oh crap, I can't leave.
No, you can't.
And then they send the dogs up. So they send 3 pit bulls come running up. Obviously, they've held them to the doors closed. I'm assuming it was because I smelt better than most. Like, I shower and stuff.
Yeah.
But one of the dogs decided I was a bit different and latched onto my leg. Luckily, the teeth didn't go into my calf. It went into my jeans.
Yeah.
So I thought I'd just be staunch and ignore it. So I walk in dragging a pit bull off my right leg. So I sort of like sort of stumbling there with this pit bull, like, this happens to me all the time.
Yeah,
it's all
I'm
good.
used to it.
I'm used to it. So I go into this thing, and it is the most ridiculous thing. Actually, I want to go there and shoot a film because you wouldn't believe this place is a set.
Yeah.
So you got this bar set up. There's a guy who is behind the bar, who's about 6'6", 6'5", big guy, very solid, ZZ Top looking, ginger beard down the front, bald, like
Yeah.
There's a couple of people playing.
Does this dog
pool.
let go of you by now?
Eventually.
Oh,
I think
okay.
it just got bored because I wasn't paying it any attention.
Yeah, okay.
Or it might be, actually, I think one of the guys came over and kicked it, and it went over with the others. That's all good. In the corner, there's a couple of guys playing pool. It was pretty empty. A couple of guys playing pool. There might have been 4 or 5 guys in the whole room. In one corner, there's this guy going mental, smashing a chair against the wall, just like, and nobody's paying any attention to him at all.
I've
just
got
like, oh my God.
I've got this very vivid image in my head of how this looks.
There's a big wooden pillar beam across the room, the way the room's set up, and there's manacles hanging off it.
Of course there is.
And there's a big blood stain underneath this manacles. And I'm just going, not one of my better judgment calls.
Interesting.
I was chopped too, really pissed. But I was starting to sober up a little bit at this time.
I bet you were.
So anyway, I start playing pool, and I actually got quite a few fluky shots. Like, I used to play reasonably well, and I could be quite fluky, but these were, like, ridiculously fluky.
Yeah.
I'm aiming for that ball. I sort of hit it, but I sink 2 of my balls in different pockets.
Oh, my
and
God.
people are looking at me going, because we're playing doubles, me and John,
Yeah.
against these 2 bikers. And they give me muttering away, and I'm like, oh no, Chris, start losing.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's okay. One thing that started to bug me and penetrated the fog of alcohol around my brain was my helmet kept moving, my bright red shiny helmet, which I put on the floor in front of the bar, and I'd take my shot and I'd go back and the helmet's moved to the seat, and you don't put a helmet on something high because you don't want it to fall on.
Yeah.
If it falls off, it damages
Yeah,
it.
it
So
makes sense.
I'd put it back on the floor, I'd have my shot, I come back and it's moved again, and it's like I look around and nobody's like looking guilty. And I'm like, and I put it back on the floor. Anyway, so after one particular shot, I turn around and this big ZZ Top dude is shining up my helmet. I'm like, hey, get your hands off there. What the fuck are you doing? Like, I really lost it.
Never touch Chris's red helmet, okay?
Well, sometimes the best defense is a good attack. So he just smiles at me and goes, I'm just polishing it. I'm like, give me that. Took it off him.
Yeah.
This is pretty much where I sobered up pretty quick, and I'm like, how do I get out of here? So anyway, we finished the game. I said to John, look, I got to go home, man. I got to sleep. And whatever he did to let us get out, thank God.
Yeah.
So I left. I think he stayed there, and I think I just left by myself carrying my helmet.
Yes, your very shiny buffed helmet.
It wasn't shiny. It wasn't buffed.
Oh.
They polished it with paint strip.
Oh, okay.
This is what you do to ruin a helmet.
Oh, man.
The visor was now translucent. You couldn't see
Whoa.
through it. And the sticker's worn off. And it, as a helmet, it's basically ruined. You need a new helmet.
Yeah.
It's screwed. So anyway, I was pretty peed off about that. I started walking home. I think I caught a bus home at 5 a.m. because you can do that in Wellington. I just like to mention that again because we live in Hamilton and buses stop at, 6 or 7 now. But anyway, so that was cool.
There's the midnight one. There's the night... What's it called? Night? The night one that does some random loop somewhere.
Yeah, that's true. Anyway, so I got home, crashed out. In the morning, I had to get hold of Mum for some reason. Now, this is back in the day before internet. You couldn't email people. You couldn't go on Facebook and leave a message. If you wanted to communicate...
And cell phones would have been out,
no, this was before cell phones.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah. So you either had to go and see them or you pick up the landline and ring them. So I wake up late, probably after lunch, to be honest. Hungover, not good. Really, really upset about my helmet. Really upset.
Yeah.
So I had to ring Mum for some reason. I had to give her some information or something. So I rang her up and whatever it was that we had to talk about, I was like, blah, 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 blah. She goes, "Are you all right? You sound pretty bad." I was like, "I'm hungover and I'm peed off." And I thought, I'm going to shock Mum, you know. I was at the Satan Slaves Club rooms this morning.
Yeah,
as you do.
As you do.
And, you know, rah, 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 rah. And then this bloody big ape of a man, you know, put paint stripper all over my phone, all over my helmet.
Yeah.
And she, like, you can hear her, oh, hang on a sec. And she's muffling the phone, like she's put her hand over the phone and she's talking to somebody. I was like, oh, that's a bit rude.
Yeah.
You know? And then she comes back and she goes, "Oh, that guy, so bald with a beard and that." And I said, "Yeah." She goes, "That's Pete. I'm playing cards with him now. He's said to tell you he's really sorry he didn't know you were my son." And I'm like, "Okay, Mum, thanks, bye."
Random as playing cards with the giant dude.
Yeah. So that was my mum. Every time, like she knew all the hoods and all the, like she knew Murray Mixted when he was a rugby player quite well.
Yeah.
And Lorraine Downs and shit. And she knew all the knobs and all the hoods. Gangsters in Wellington.
Random?
Yeah.
Makes for interesting stories.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah. Anyway, that was my little story about my mum.
Oh. Not really related, but have you ever had a beer called In Your Face?
A beer?
Yeah, like a drink.
No.
From the Beermouth Brewing Company in Auckland. No. Anyway, long story short, it's called In Your Face, and then it blew up in the guy's face and burnt him. So
burnt him?
Yeah.
What, did he put it on a fire?
No, they were brewing it. So they were boiling up all the stuff, the hops
right,
or whatever.
right.
And they were brewing the India Pale Ale, or IPA, as the people like to call it.
Oh, is that what that stands for?
Really?
Seriously.
Really?
I've been going to Good George, getting IPA for ages and going, oh yeah. And I know that Tui's an India Pale Ale and other things, well at least it used to say that on it.
Yeah.
Never clicked.
Do you know what I worked this out a couple of months ago, but I saw it again today. I used to get emails from people a lot, and at the end it would always say, "Thanks, Jay," capital J. Thanks, Jay. And I was like, why does everyone say thanks, Jay? Like just the letter J.
It's the smiley face when you do that. Yeah, and what's this? If you do it in Word, it turns into a capital J.
Yeah, but I think it's the same for when people are writing on an Apple product and it comes through like into Gmail or something.
Quite possibly.
Yeah. But for the longest time, it was just always thanks, Jay. And I was like, what are you going on about? And I never hit anyone up about it because I thought, and everyone knew what my name was, so I thought it was a bit weird. But that was the thing that I realised. And you'd be happy to know,
yes,
no one needs to pay any royalties for Happy Birthday now.
Oh, really?
That's what they've ruled that no, it's free and available for everyone. So all these people in film, TV, and stuff like that, it's all good to go.
So we can sing Happy Birthday in a movie now.
If we wanted to. I'm hoping there's not like a big influx of that. That'd be annoying.
Oh, well, it's better than Feliz Navidad all the time because you can't say it in English.
Yeah, and people just butcher it. Feliz Navidad, just like that.
Feliz Navidad.
Actually,
Feliz
talking about
Navidad.
that, someone tweeted today, we're in September, the Advent calendars are already out for Christmas.
Oh, I saw one of my friends has put one of the as a photo of a guy holding a sign. It's like it was protesting a bit against premature Christmas decorations or something.
Oh.
Yeah, because seriously, are people starting that? I suppose it's October.
Well, they like pushing it really early because Christmas is a bad one, and so is Easter. Easter eggs and stuff turn up at God knows when, because Easter's end of March, I think.
Yeah, March, April thing.
Yeah, March,
moves around
I think
a bit.
next year. All due to the moon or something.
Yeah, well.
But I got a sweet deal this week.
Yeah, I hear you've had a bit of luck with a couple of things.
Yeah, it's all about just talking to people nicely, really. So I was talking about the random app on my phone last week called... Was it last week or week before?
On the podcast?
Yeah, I mentioned it It's called Poster, P-O-S-T-R.
Oh, that's right, yeah, P-O-S-T-R.
Anyway.
Which I still never checked out.
No, you haven't.
Yeah, I know.
But it's got Grab One deals on it, and I don't usually look at Grab One deals. And Grab One deals are really great for food. Need to look out for them just for food.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah, because I've just bought something from Dr. Grab.
Oh, yeah, there's
that
so
I've never
many.
heard
What did
of
you get
before.
then?
I got a compression suit
Oh, right.
because my last compression suit, which to be fair, I only bought it for Oxfam Trail Walk.
This is the one that you turned into a costume?
This is the one that got turned into the Mandalorian's thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of the Grab One deals are like pay $40 and you're allowed $80 worth of food.
All right.
So it's pretty good.
Oh, like at a restaurant and stuff.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
That sort of thing. So, but this deal was, we decided we're going to get my daughter a scooter for Christmas to replace her cheap one that broke.
All right.
And I was like, just go.
So you're going to get another cheap one?
No, I'm getting a decent one. So it came up on the deal site. There was 3 levels, and I went to the highest level. So I paid $100, and I can spend $200 on MGP scooter gear, which is Mad Gear Pro scooters. Yep. So they're all over the place, and they're pretty good. And you can buy all the parts for them if you break any part of it.
All right. So if it breaks, it's fixable rather than throw away.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
sweet.
that was all good. I'm looking at it's not their cheapest one, it's the next one up. It's $190 for a scooter.
Ooh.
So I'm like, this is cool. But the thing is, I want to spend all of my $200. I don't want to just leave that $10.
Yeah.
So I was like, I didn't know what to get. So I got some new hand grips to go with it. The hand grips on it are black. I got some pink ones that go with the rest of it, which is also pink.
Yep.
So that was all good. So in theory, I owe them $20. I'm $20 over. So I go through the process. I punch in this voucher code, and it says it comes to $220. Voucher goes, you owe us nothing.
Ooh.
And shipping's free as well. And I'm like, shipping was always free, but I was like, okay. So I put it through.
Quickly press OK.
Yeah, put it through, and then I thought about it for a bit, and I thought, I'm going to email them. So,
is that the one? Yeah.
So I started off with my email, and I said to the guy, hey, how's it going? I'm having an amazing day. Just had this Grab One deal. I think I owe you $20, basically. Just letting you know because I don't know what this voucher's going to do for someone else that buys heaps of stuff, So he got back to me, and he said, you know what? We actually, we saw your order come through, and we saw it did something crazy. So we fixed that straight away. But we really appreciate you letting us know. So I don't think they really did spot it. I think I told them.
Yeah,
because I used the voucher straight away, and
Yeah.
I think some people probably didn't. And he said, don't worry about that extra money. That's on us.
Oh,
So,
good stuff.
Thank you, Bike Barn Dude.
Bike Barn. Shout out to Bike Barn then.
Yep, bikebarn.co.nz. And I managed to get a free FPOS card because my other one was all munty. And the chick's like, we'll cancel it straight away. Then we will send you a new one, but you're going to have to wait 3 to 4 days. And I was like, no, I need an FPOS card. I can't, And she went, we'll attach it to another account, or you can go to a post shop. Now, the post shop may or may not charge you the $15 replacement fee. I said they will charge me the $15 replacement fee because they like charging me stuff. That's what they do.
Yeah, they do 2 things really well. Mostly it's, 3 things. Talk to each other, moan and whinge, and charge you money.
Yes. So that's part of their training. And And it's probably an intensive training course they do. It's like 3 weeks
I
long.
can just see it.
Yeah, I can imagine it.
Please, stop that smiling. Stop that smiling!
Yeah. So the chick comes back to me and she says, actually, we'll add it to this account. We'll send you the card, and then when it turns up, we'll swap them around, and then you go and activate it at the post shop, and I'll just waive that fee for you.
Oh, nice.
Excellent.
Where was that? What bank?
That's Kiwi Bank.
Kiwi Bank. Kiwi Bank is really cool, which is odd because Kiwi Bank is at the post office.
Yeah, I worked with a guy that refused to go to Kiwi Bank because of that reason.
Yeah, and it is funny because I've been at Kiwi Bank. I'm a founding member.
Oh, you are a founding member?
Foundation member.
My brother-in-law's a foundation member.
Yeah. And they've been really good. And one of the cool things with Kiwi Bank too is that when you transfer money, particularly to another Kiwi Bank person, the money goes straight through.
Yeah, that's instant.
Yeah, it's instant because this morning at 3:00 when I sent you the bill for the electricity,
and
you finally got up and looked at it, which was like 6 a.m. or something, 3 hours later,
It wasn't 6 a.m. It would have been 4:30 in the morning.
Oh, right. So an hour and a half later.
Yeah.
Still, it's a bit slow.
I would have been at work at 6.
But no, that's right, because I checked it at 6 and it had gone into my bank account at 6. So, yeah.
Yeah.
So
that's
cool.
good. 3
the
hours later.
The domestic workings of this flat.
Yeah. And then our other flatmate actually paid it and said, I'm not sure if I want to pay the... Was it?
Oh, because it was $149 split 3 ways. I'm like, what say we just all put in $50 and we'll be $1 in credit for next month?
Yeah.
And because I just couldn't, be bothered. And she goes, I'm not sure that I can afford to pay the extra 33 cents. I knew she was joking, but I put a smiley face next to it, or wink face, or whatever.
Yeah.
And then she clarified, this is hours later, many hours later, she clarified, oh, no, I have paid the $50. I'm like, yeah, I know you what your humour is. I get it.
Oh.
You didn't.
Yeah, no, I got it. But
it's just funny.
Yeah, it was. Are you following any of the Rugby World Cup at the moment?
No, I haven't seen any games.
No.
I would like to. I really would have liked to see a replay of that Japan-South Africa match.
Oh, right, yeah.
Because that's huge. And I've got a soft spot for Japan. I did karate for a long time. I have a bit of a soft spot for the culture and that sort of thing. And so I'm really pleased they did well. And, beating the Arpies is always a good thing.
Bloody stuff in their self-playing videos. I hit stop and it still wanted to play.
Yeah.
Shocking. Because they played Namibia this morning.
The All Blacks did.
Yeah,
yes.
And it was 58-14.
Oh, is that what the final score was? I was in the lounge drilling holes in Corflute Signs, and I had Paul Henry on.
Oh, yes, this morning.
And
yes.
listening to a couple of the scores. It wasn't that high. It was...
So basically, they've said in this article I'm just looking at now is they've slowed the game down so much that the All Blacks lost their patience and composure and couldn't cope with it. So
really?
It seems like that is probably I think the other teams that they're going to face are going to grind them down to a slow pace.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting because all our players play one way. They play the way that Super 12 plays.
Yeah.
Super 12, Super 14, whatever the hell it is now.
Super 15, I think.
Yeah, see, I have no clue. So they'll play that pace. They'll play that way. And that's why it used to be really good when you used to play, what was it? The rest of the world versus... Five Nations versus the rest of the world.
Oh, right.
That used to be, like, back in the day, that used to be the big thing because the Five Nations, which was Scotland, Ireland, Wales and England and whatever the other fifth nation was. France it was, actually.
Yeah.
Those five played a totally different style of rugby than the rest of the world, which was New Zealand, Australia, South Africa, and I think that was it.
Ah.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how they go.
Yeah.
And we'll, be...
Yeah, so the World Cup fever, it's funny because it started and I was like, oh, how come I haven't heard anything about it?
Oh, I see bits and pieces on Facebook, but a lot of people I know and interact with just don't care.
Yeah. Yeah.
People I used to work with were all over it. Like, they lived and breathed it.
I guess last time, because it was in New Zealand, it was so in your face. Like, there's no getting around it.
No, you're correct. It's still in your face now if you read a lot of stuff online. And I think it's... I hardly watch any news, really, so it's probably still in your face there.
Yeah, well, they've got a special report, of course, on Paul Henry in the morning. Not saying that I watch Paul Henry every morning, but a few times I'll put it on while I'm having breakfast or whatever now, since I have breakfast these days.
Good effort. And did you know we've reached the end of this podcast, Chris? Just like that.
Wow.
Basically just 2 stories.
2 stories. Well, I've got to say, my story was a good one.
Yes, yours was a great story.
And by the way, Sam is stuttering a little bit because he drank a bottle of beer.
I don't think it is the beer.
But you drank that really quickly. Like, I haven't even finished mine yet, and you like went straight through yours, and you're the man that has
half an hour, like less than half an hour to drink that, and you're still going. So I think the question is, what are you up to?
Well, your one was cold, mine's warm. I will use that as a sort of an out.
I will agree with that.
Yeah, because we only had one cold one in the fridge. I'm like, you take that one, Sam. So, yeah. Okay, so that's the end of the episode. So, drum roll. Next episode is the big half century.
And yes, next episode we will remember to periscope it.
We will periscope it.
I forgot to do it this time because the iPad's flat. I think we'd use that.
Okay.
And we will see you then, where you can check us out, the chrisandsampodcast.com, Chris and Sam Pod on Twitter. I'm WebSam on Twitter. You're Chris Hanlon .nz. No, underscore. Sorry,
Chris
underscore.
Hanlon _NZ.
So you can find us there. We like sharing stuff between all the accounts. What else?
And we got the Facebook page.
Chris and Sam Podcast.
The
on
Chris
Facebook.
and Sam Podcast
Check
on
us out
Facebook.
there.
Yep.
Yep.
And so a bit of community of podcasters. You'll be hearing from a few other podcasters around and about, I would think. And we've got our big Social Media Club Auckland panel discussion, which I will be hosting in November. So that's a wee while away, but we will put the 18th of November aside. And if you're outside of New Zealand or not in Auckland, you can still watch it because it will be live cast. Yes, I will be broadcasting to the entire world.
Listen to it.
No pressure.
I usually run out of time while I'm editing this, so I keep forgetting to put adverts in. So check out Will at podfellas.com, Will and Sean's Bogus Podcast, Neil Before Pod.
Yep. Guy and Harley podcast.
Yes. Sounds good.
Yeah, that'll do.
That'll do. Anyway, until next time.
Until next time. We'll catch you later.
See ya.
Hope you enjoy the show. Make sure to subscribe and we'll catch you next week. Don't forget to tell your friend.